I'm William Michael, the headmaster of the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, and in this video I'm going to walk students through the first lesson in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy's Latin Grammar 1 course. As you can see on your screen, we're studying an old text. This is actually a more recent copy of a very old text. We're studying the Latin grammar of the Jesuit schoolmaster Emmanuel Alvarez, which was written in the 1500s. This is the Latin grammar that was recommended by and taught by the Jesuits in the 16th and 17th centuries. If you look at the Jesuit Rule of Studies published in 1599, you'll find this exact text was the recommended Latin grammar for the classical Catholic schools run by the Jesuits. It's important for us to remember that the Jesuit schoolmasters taught and studied Latin at a time when it was still in active use, and their mastery of the language was far greater than ours is today. And so we can pursue the knowledge of Latin grammar as Catholic students with confidence, knowing that we're learning it from a reliable, trustworthy, and proven source, the Latin grammar of Emmanuel Alvarez. What we're going to do, as you can see on your screen, is study the Latin text, the actual original Latin text of Alvarez's Latin grammar. It may seem strange to study Latin using a book that's written in Latin. That seems kind of unreasonable since the students don't know the language. That's why they're studying Latin grammar. But the textbook written in Latin assumes that there's a schoolmaster who's able to explain it to the students, who knows it himself. And it also provides us with a lot of material to use to actually learn the language as we study our grammar rules. So I'm going to explain every word of the Latin text to you, so there's nothing to worry about. And you'll learn the Latin language most quickly by studying from a Latin textbook. Now, in your book here, you can see that there should be one written here, but there are numbers before each of these rules. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. 9 rules for Chapter 1. I strongly recommend that you memorize these rules in Latin. I strongly recommend that you memorize these rules in Latin. There's no way for me to make you memorize these rules, but I strongly recommend that you memorize them. I recommend that you memorize them in Latin because it's much easier to memorize in Latin than in English, because English uses many more words to express the same ideas that Latin does in just a few words. So Latin is a better language for memorization, and I strongly recommend that you memorize these Latin rules. Having said that, the only other thing I'd like to note before we get started is that these videos will move pretty quickly, and you may find that you can't keep up with the speed at which I go through the lesson. But I do that intentionally for 2 reasons. Number 1, I want to make these video lessons as short as possible. And secondly, you have complete control over the video. So you can pause it, back up, rewatch a part. You can watch the video over again as many times as you want. So I'm not worried about students falling behind or needing to have things repeated, because that's in the students' control since they control the video. So let's go ahead and work through this first lesson of Latin Grammar 1 in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy's Latin Grammar 1 course. At the top of the screen here, we see the chapter name. We see Chapter 1, De Litteris, and above, up here, we see Liber Primus. Liber Primus means the first book of Alvarez's grammar. The topic of this book is etymologia. Etymologia. That means etymology in English, and it means the study of the parts of speech. So in the first book, we'll study the parts of speech. And in chapter 1, we're going to study de literis, or of letters. So chapter 1, the topic is letters, the letters of the Latin language. Rule number 1, we'll read it together. I'll provide you with a word-by-word translation, and then we'll walk through all of the names and sounds of the letters together. Okay, so rule number 1. Litere quibus utuntur Latini sunt tres et viginti. Litere quibus utuntur Latini sunt tres et viginti. The letters which used the Latins are 3 and 20. The letters which used the Latins are 3 and 20. Or to put that into simpler modern English, the letters which the Latins used are 23 in number. Now here we have the names of the 23 Latin letters. So first, let's just go through and learn the names of these letters. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, X, Y, Z. These are the names of the 23 Latin letters. Now, what's good about classical Latin is that every one of these letters represents only one sound. So in classical Latin, pronunciation is very, very easy. Unfortunately, in church history, later on, the pronunciation of the Latin letters became a little more complicated because some letters could represent more than one sound. So let's walk through these letters and learn their sounds. First, the alphabet begins with the Latin vowel A. Anytime you see the Latin vowel A, you should read it with the sound A, A. Next, we have the consonant B, B, and this is just like the English letter B, pronounced B, B. The third letter is the consonant Ch. In classical Latin, the Latin spoken by the Romans, this was read as Ke, Ke, and it was always pronounced with the hard sound K, K, K. In Church Latin, anytime this letter comes before the sounds E or E, it's pronounced with a soft sound Ch, Ch. So just remember, this letter is always pronounced with the hard sound K, unless it comes before the vowel sounds E or E, when it's pronounced Ch, Ch. Next, we have the consonant D, which is pronounced just like our English letter D, D, D. We then have the second vowel, E, E. And make sure you remember the names of these vowels because they're different than in English. A, A, E, E. This is the second Latin vowel. Anytime you see this vowel, read it with the sound E, E. Next, we have the consonant F, pronounced just like our English F, F, F. We then have the consonant J, and this consonant is like the consonant Che. In classical Latin, it was always pronounced with a hard G sound, g, g. But in Church Latin, it began to be pronounced with the sound j before the sounds e and e. So this consonant is always read with g, unless it comes before the vowel sounds e or e when it's pronounced j. Next is the consonant ha, ha. This is simply a breath. It's simply aspiration or breath. Next we have the third Latin vowel, e, e. And make sure you don't get the names of these vowels confused with English vowel names. So we have a, e, and e. Next we have the consonant kappa, kappa. In some textbooks, you'll see this just called ka. But here it's kappa, taking its name from the Greek letter kappa. Anytime we see the letter kappa, we read it with the sound k, k. Next we have the letters L, M, and N, and these all make the normal English sounds, L, M, and N. We then have the fourth Latin vowel, O, O. We then have pe, pe, which is just like our English p, p, p. We then have the consonant ku, ku, which makes the sound k and is usually followed by the vowel u in speech. We then have er, er, and you should be able to hear that trilled sound like in Spanish, r, 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 er. If you can't make that trill sound, some students can't. If you can't make it, simply make the English R sound, r, r. Next we have the Latin S, S. It always has this sound of s, never the sound of z as in English. S, s, the classical S. Next we have te, te, which always has the sound t, t. We then have our fifth vowel, oo, oo. So far we've had 5 vowels, a, e, o, and oo. Next we have what's called the double consonant, x, x, just like our English letter X. It's called a double consonant because it actually combines the sounds of 2 different consonants into one spoken sound. It's the sound k and s. Put together make x, x, ix. Then we have the 6th vowel, upsilon, upsilon. This vowel is taken from Greek and is only used in Greek words. The pronunciation of it is difficult because the sound that it represents is not used in English. The name of the letter upsilon means quiet or short. U. That's what it means. But this letter is also called E Graeca, which means Greek E, because it has a sound that's different from Latin. In our readings, in this class, anytime we see the letter upsilon, we're going to read it with the sound E, just like the vowel E. But if you want to know exactly what sound this represents, it represents a sound that's used in French and German, but not in English. And here's how you make it. First, in your mouth, act like you're going to make the sound E, E. Get your mouth ready to say E, E, E. But now, round your lips, just your lips. So inside your mouth, you're making the sound E, but with your lips, you're going to round your lips as if you're going to make the sound O or oo. And combine those 2 sounds together, E with rounded lips, and it makes a sound like this. U, U, U. It's a strange sound that we don't use in English, but that's the sound that it makes. If you can't make that sound, it's not a big deal, because in Latin class, we're always going to read it with the sound E, E, and we'll see some examples below. And the last letter is the consonant zeta, which is just like our English Z, Z, Z. So that's all for the Latin alphabet, the names of the letters and their sounds. I know that's a lot of information, but as I said, you're in control of the video. You can stop the video, you can back up and watch it over again, you can watch through this whole video and then watch the video over again on another day. So don't be discouraged or worried if you feel like I'm sharing a lot of information quickly. I'm doing so, remember, to make our videos short, and because you can review these videos as many times as you'd like. Rule number 2. Litere dividuntur in vocales et consonantes. Litere dividuntur in vocales et consonantes. This simply means the letters are divided into vowels and consonants. The letters are divided into vowels and consonants. That's rule number 2. So of all of these 23 letters, they can be divided into just 2 classes, vowels and consonants. Rule number 3. Vocales sunt sex. Vocales sunt sex. The vowels are 6. The vowels are 6, or we could say there are 6 vowels. And here are the 6 vowels in Latin. A, E, I, O, U, and upsilon. A, E, I, O, U, and upsilon. The 6 Latin vowels. Quarum ultima tantum in dictionibus Graecis locum habet. Quarum, of which, so of these 6 vowels, of which ultima, the last, that is upsilon, of which vowels the last, tantum, only, in dictionibus Graecis, only in Greek words. So dictionibus is Latin for words, like a dictionary, a book of words. The last of the 6 vowels, only in Greek words, locum habet, has a place. So this vowel upsilon is only found in Greek words, as I said earlier. Now, you'll see this little word ut. You see it there, you see it here, you see it here, you see it here, and, oops, sorry about that, and here and here. This little word ut, this word translates into English with as, and anytime you see this little word in your grammar book, it's introducing some examples. So it's an important word to look out for. That little word ut, as. So this rule reads, the vowels are 6, a, e, I, o, u, and upsilon, of which the last only in Greek words has a place, as, for example, and we have 2 examples, hieronymus, hieronymus, and Dionysius, Dionysius. We see the letters upsilon in both of these words because these are words that were brought from Greek into Latin, and they brought the upsilon with them. Hieronymus, and Dionysius. So you see, we pronounce that letter upsilon with the sound E when we see it in speech. And that's all for rule number 3. Rule number 4. Cetere appellantur consonantes. Cetere appellantur consonantes. The rest, or the remaining letters, are called appellantur, are called consonantes. Consonantes, consonants. Quod vocalibus juncte simul sonent. Quod vocalibus juncte simul sonent. Because with vowels joined together they make a sound, sonent. Quod vocalibus, because with vowels juncte, joined, simul, together, sonent, they make a sound. So the rest of the letters are called consonants because they make a sound together with vowels. And what that means is a vowel is a letter that represents a sound that can be spoken by itself. A, E, I, O, U, Ü. These are sounds that can be spoken by themselves. That's what makes them vocales or vowels. Consonantes are letters that cannot be spoken by themselves. For example, the letter B. There's no way to make the sound of that letter without adding a vowel sound to it. We could either say ab or we could say ba, but we can't make that sound by itself. That's what a consonant is. So basically, the letters divide into 2 classes of letters. One class can be sounded by themselves. The other class must be joined to a vowel. That makes the 2 different classes of letters, vocales et consonantes. Next, rule 5. Syllaba fit ex litteris una vel pluribus. Syllaba fit ex litteris una vel pluribus. A syllable fit is made ex litteris, out of letters. A syllable fit is made ex litteris, out of letters. Una vel pluribus, one or more than one. So a syllable is made out of one or more than one letters. Here we have our little word ut, which introduces us to some examples. We have 4 words here. We have aleas, ars, fors, and trans. This first word, aleas, has 3 syllables. The first syllable is made out of just 1 letter. The second syllable is made out of 2 letters. And the third syllable is made out of 2 letters as well. In this second word, we have 1 syllable made out of 3 letters, ars. 1 syllable made out of 3 letters. In the next word, fors, we have 1 syllable made out of 4 letters. 1 syllable made out of 4 letters. And lastly, trans, we have 1 syllable made out of 5 letters. So a syllable is made out of letters, 1 or more. And then we have our examples. Rule number 6. Syllaba quae fit ex duabus vocalibus vocatur diphthongus. Syllaba quae fit ex duabus vocalibus vocatur diphthongus. A syllable which is made out of 2 vowels is called a diphthong. A syllable which fit is made ex duabus vocalibus out of two vowels is called a diphthong. Rule number 7. Diphthongi sunt sex. The diphthongs in the Latin language are 6 in number. There are 6 diphthongs. Remember, a diphthong is a syllable which is made of two vowels. So diphthongs are combinations of vowels which are read together in the same syllable. They're a special group of pairs of vowels that are always read together as one syllable. That's what a diphthong is. And in Latin, there are 6 diphthongs. Now, to memorize these diphthongs, what I recommend is you simply say the names of the vowels. So the first diphthong is a, e. The second diphthong is a, u. The third diphthong is e, I. The fourth diphthong is e, u. The fifth is o, e. And the sixth is u, I, or upsilon, I. So those are the 6 diphthongs. That means when we see these two letters, A and E, or A and U, I'm just using the English names, EI, EU, OE, or upsilon I, when we see these pairs, we should remember that they're diphthongs and they should be read in one syllable. Okay? So you need to know the diphthongs so you can watch out for them when you're reading Latin. And here we see ut, and then we have some examples. So in each of these examples, we have one of the diphthongs being used. Let me just underline them real quick. Okay? The first example we have is premium, premium. And you can see that if we divide this into syllables, we have pre, mi, and But the a and the e stay together in the first syllable because they form a diphthong. Pre, mi, 3 syllables. Even though there are 4 vowels, there are only 3 syllables because a, e is a diphthong. Next, we have aurum, aurum. This is 2 syllables. A, u, and then the syllable rum. Even though there are 3 vowels in the word, there are only 2 syllables because a and u form a diphthong and are read as one syllable. Next, we have the word he, he. E and E form a diphthong. Now, there are 2 vowels in this word, so there should be 2 syllables. But because E and E make a diphthong, there is only 1 syllable in the word he. Next, we have Europa, Europa, Europa. E and U form a diphthong. This word divides into syllables as eu, ro, pa, Europa. There are 4 vowels, but only 3 syllables because e and u form a diphthong. And then 2 more examples. We have pena, or in classical it would be poina, poina. And we have the word divided after the diphthong, poi or pe, na. And then lastly, harpuia, harpuia. And we have this upsilon and e forming a diphthong. So even though there's 1, 2, 3, 4 vowels, there's only 3 syllables. Harpuia. Okay, that's all for rule number 7. Let me clean that up. Rule number 8. Dictio fit e syllabis. Dictio fit a syllabis. Now we saw this word before up here. Dictionibus. Dictionibus. And we said it means words. Here, this is the singular form of that same noun. It means a word. Dictio, a word, fit e syllabis. A word is made of syllables. A word is made of syllables. A syllable is made of letters. A word is made of syllables. And we have ut, which introduces an example. Remember, ut means as. A word is made of syllables, as the word aleas. Aleas is one word, but it's made of 1, 2, 3 syllables. A-le-as. Interdum fit ex una syllaba. Interdum fit ex una syllaba. Interdum means sometimes. Sometimes a word is made out of one syllable, as mors. Mors is a word made of just one syllable. So words are made of syllables sometimes, or a word is made of syllables. Sometimes it is made of one syllable. And lastly, rule number 9, oratio fit ex dictionibus. Oratio fit ex dictionibus. Oratio means speech. Speech is made out of words. We have this word again in a different form. Oratio, speech is made out of words. And then we have our little ut, as, which introduces our examples. Alias fuge. Alias fuge is a sentence. So we can see what it means by oratio. Oratio here means a sentence. And we have the sentence alias fuge. Now this word alias is used in some sources to mean dice or games of chance. And so alias fuge could mean flee from games of chance or flee chance. The second sentence we're given here is mortem meditare. Mortem meditare. So we have a speech, an oratio, made of two words. Mortem meditare. Meditare means be mindful of mortem, death. Be mindful of death. So the lesson here is a sentence or speech is made of words. And that's all for chapter 1 on letters. We have 9 rules. We learn about the 23 Latin letters. We learn their names and their sounds. We learn the 2 classes or species into which the letters are divided, vowels and consonants. We learn that there are 6 vowels in Latin, and we learn that the vowel upsilon is only used in Greek words. We learn that the rest of the letters are called consonants because they make a sound joined together with vowels. Then we learn about syllables. We learn a syllable is made out of letters, 1 or more. We learn that a syllable which is made out of 2 vowels is called a diphthong. We then learned the 6 diphthongs, what they are, and we looked at examples of them. And then we learned that a word is made of syllables and that speech is made of words. And that's all for lesson 1. Now, I know that was a lot of information. I know that I moved quickly, but as I said, you can now watch this video as many times as you like. You can replay parts over and over again until you understand it clearly. But I've covered everything in section 1 for you. I've translated all of the rules word for word, including the examples. And you should be able to study the lesson now on your own for mastery. If you have any questions about this lesson, if there's anything that's not clear, please contact me and I'll either answer that question directly for you, or I'll just remake the video and make it clearer. Because if you have a problem, it's likely that other students will have that same problem when they study. So send me any questions you have about this lesson, but I hope it's a helpful walkthrough for this first reading of Lesson 1 in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy's Latin Grammar 1 course. God bless your studies.